it gets to the point where I get released after going through years, countless years of trying to get someone to just look at the evidence. I'm writing every innocence project in the country. I'm writing to President Obama. I'm writing presidents. I'm writing congressmen. I'm writing people all over the country. I'm filing to the courts. I filed 6 habeas corpuses on my own behalf. I'm asking lawyers to help. I'm pleading my case to all over the country, to every individual, every agency I can, ACLU, different organizations throughout West Virginia, Washington, D.C., all over the country. No help. Finally, in 2012, I take a leap of faith. Throughout the judicial system, you have to be capable of exhausting all your remedies. And if you don't exhaust your remedies in state court, you can't proceed to federal court. Well, I petitioned to the federal court trying to get around this mandate. And in my attempt to get around the mandate, I understand I didn't have cognizable issues going into the federal court, because I went in federal court on denial of due process, equal protection, and access to the court for a period of 23 years in state court. And the federal court actually granted me in, Judge Joseph R. Goodwin granted me in under an egregious inordinate delay of 23 years without having a ruling on my case in state court by the judges. That's after the fact that I had 3 orders from the West Virginia Supreme Court of the State Supreme Court of West Virginia gave me 3 orders in 1995, 2002, and 2006 for full evidentiary hearings on my case.
And that was what, was it ignored?
It was ignored by the lower court, state court judge Paul Zacabe Jr.
So the Supreme Court ruled.
Yeah, 3 times.
He went, whatever.
No relief, no ruling.
So you go to federal court.
Yes.
And then what? The judge rules in your favor?
It took 46 months in federal court.
4 to 6 or 46?
46. It took almost 4 years. 46. Wow. The process still was delayed, but I went through 2 magistrates. The first magistrate ruled on the case immediately. And in 2013, my case, like I said, was granted in the federal court by the judge under inordinate. I had to come in and provide an amendment habeas corpus. From 2013 to 2016, I was provided with attorneys by the federal court, the Federal Public Defender's Office out of Charleston, West Virginia, Mr. Rhett Johnson, and a few other individuals that were on my behalf, including investigators. The length of the time that it took why it took so long was because I was given another magistrate, Magistrate Dwayne L. Tinsley, and it was just a small period that didn't transpire.
So when the courts rule in your favor, where are you? Are you in the courtroom?
No, I never went to the federal courthouse until after I was released.
So what happens? The court rules in your favor, and then you get a phone call?
I got the phone call. And that's the funny thing, and actually the judge removed Dwayne L. Tinsley, the magistrate, from the case and made the ruling himself on March 25th, 2016. And I don't know if it was because of the delay with the magistrate or not. I don't know, but anyhow.
So his ruling comes down March 25th, 2016.
Yes.
Then your lawyers call you.
They call me at the prison, let me know today your sentence has been vacated, your conviction has been overturned. The ruling has been that it was an egregious, juncture.
How do you feel when you hear those words?
Oh, tears immediately to my eyes. And it was the best words that I could have ever heard in my life.
So that was March 25th, 2016.
Yes.
And when did you walk out of prison?
April 1st, 2016, a week later.
And you returned where?
To Georgia with my mother and family. My mother, Miss Gladys Gardner. She was at the courthouse. The judge gave a $10,000 bond. The state of West Virginia was saying we were going to retry, so I got a $10,000 bond. And I was able to go home with my mother at Albany, Georgia. Have they retried you? Are they still trying to retry you? No, on September 7th of 2016, 2 days before, actually a couple days before trial, the state of West Virginia dismissed all charges. Scott, I get it. I know you get it. I get letters from people all the time. I'm sure you do as an attorney as well. And people always say, oh, we got a lot of people. They claim they're innocent, but that's what every inmate says. But the reality is, there have been people who have been freed
wrongfully convicted?
Yeah, you know, DNA testing now, since the 90s at least, has helped along with that process. I get letters as a lawyer, and you know, it's a matter as to whether lawyers or those who would be supporters take the time to dig into these cases. These cases are complex, they're difficult, there's a huge record, especially if there's a trial.
Right.
And so there are innocent people in prison.
But the problem, though, is that, first of all, I think because of a lot of these television shows, we have come to trust DNA completely. But in his case, you got an investigator who's putting his thumb on the scale. And you just saw the case in Massachusetts, 21,000 cases thrown out because same thing, the lab technician was manipulating evidence. So part of the problem is that you might have DNA, but if somebody's manipulating evidence, they come back and say, oh, that's you.
Yeah, but there's more blame to go around. Fred Zane was a problem, and he was indicted, charged, there was a hung jury, and then retried, was going to be retried, and then he passed away. But remember, they knew...
I sure hope he went to hell. I said it. I sure hope he went to hell.
The state and the state agencies, though, because of an investigation by the Supreme Court, they knew he was dirty within 5 years of his sentence, and they still...
Within 5 years?
5 years of him being sentenced, there was a report by the Supreme Court that said that Zane had falsified this evidence and that the individuals that he had affected, about 100, 140 of them, had to either be retried and retested for DNA. And he still did not get a state habeas corpus hearing.
But again, just like in Massachusetts, you have DAs, prosecutors who don't want to go back in and look at it, and that's part of the problem. And we have the same thing here. When Craig Watkins became DA in Dallas, when he created the unit to retest cases, DNA, it was sort of the exact same thing. But people say, oh, no. Look, you know, you don't want to open that sort of stuff. Prosecutors, even those who follow DNA, are loath to reopen cases because they don't want to touch it.
Listen, as a former prosecutor, let me be real clear, and those who are really good ones know what I'm about to say, that justice is your only goal. Whether that means dismissing the case, whether that means prosecuting the case, whatever the result is of the jury, that's justice. And it may be difficult, it may be hard, it may be troublesome, it may take a lot of time, but justice obligates you to go back into those cases and see.
Jimmie, have you been compensated by West Virginia for what took place?
Not yet. We're in the process of civil litigation at this time.
What are you seeking?
Well, I mean, there could be no amount that could actually cover the years that I've been away wrongfully. Had family members passing away, watching hundreds of guys inside that I become friends with die off, horrible conditions, all the HIV, hepatitis, poor medical conditions, poor food, all the processed food, all just the environment of like a cesspool, the years of just total deprivation and oppression. It could, no amount of money could ever repay or fulfill those years of my life or recover for any of that. Yeah,
you know, Roland, he's filed a claim with the State Claims Commission in West Virginia. It's one of the few states that does not have a cap on what you can recover. And so
really?
It does not have a cap.
Okay.
Now, it's one of the poorest states in the union, if you will, but it doesn't have a cap. And so that case is going to run its course. But there are state agencies, there are individuals who contributed beyond Zane to his unlawful incarceration.
So y'all are going after them?
We're going after the individuals, we're going after the lawyers, we're going after the state agencies, we're going after anyone who touched his life that contributed to his 27 years in. It may take some time, and nothing's going to make him whole, but we're going to get him compensated at some appropriate level, and that's what we use in our claims, some appropriate level that the law allows and justice requires.